identity. And up next on the agenda, we have the Department of Finance. The Rota Department of Finance consists of 5 divisions. We have Finance and Accounting. Under that division, the department's request for personnel is at $388,000 for 10 FTEs, but the governor's proposed submission only allowed for 4 at $130,000. For all others, this division requested for $175,000. Next up, we have Urban Tax. The department requested for 8 positions at $254,000, but was only proposed at 4 positions for $88,000. The division requested $136,000 in operational costs. We have the procurement and supply. Division is asking for 3 FTE at $115,000 for the total of the 3. The proposal only, allocated for 2 positions at $70,000. The operational expenses requested by the department at $30,500. For customs and biosecurity, they're requesting for 24 FTEs, but it was only provided 15. They're asking for $704,000, but was only allocated $301,000, with an operational expense request of $592,000. And then we have the Department of Finance Administration. They're asking for 45 FTEs at $1.6 million. Was only allocated 25 FTEs for $641,000, with an operational expense request of $934,000. So we invite the Resident Director of the Department of Finance, Ms. Avery Cabo. At this time, I would like to recognize you for any remarks you would like to give.
Thank you, Chairman Livonia. First off, I want to welcome you guys all to the island of Rota. For the 2 senators, welcome home. Thank you guys very much for giving us this opportunity to come before you to petition on behalf of our department and our staff. I want to say that I understand that what I had submitted is beyond what is our current financial situation. So I do have an amended request that I will be presenting to you today. And I had broken down 7 of our top priorities that are essential and very critical in order for the Department of Finance to continue to provide the vital services that it does to the island of Rota and its people. And I want to say the same thing that I had said to the House, that no matter our circumstances, it does not absolve us of our responsibilities. Our financial abilities cannot be an excuse as to why we are in violation of our federal and local mandates, our legal obligations, and our constitutional mandates. The past 2 years has been very difficult on my staff because this zero funding puts the entire burden that the mayor's office is not able to fund directly onto them. So my ask is actually for each and every one of my staff. I know that everyone has to figure out a way to divvy out the pie, but the Department of Finance is not one of those departments that should be neglected during the budget hearings. My first priority is the funding of my staff. And a lot of it is for promotions that they have been long overdue and owed to these people. The last audit was in 2021, and by that time, almost every single one of them should have been raised up 2 positions. And up to this day, I have not been successful in garnering any of that support. And in that, I have to accept the complete failure on that, whether it is just our financial abilities, or is it just my leadership that needs to be improved or changed. I have 2 managers that I cannot request promotions for because there's no other position higher than what they have unless they're also going to be directors. So I ask that if there's ever any funds down the road or today, that you would consider releasing their WGIs so that they can be properly funded, because these people deserve what they work for. Financial services has 4 personnel, that is true. 2 in accounting and 2 in administration. And I'm asking that my administrative specialist be promoted to an administrative officer. She's at the retirement age, and she served this government for over 15 years, and she has not been given a promotion. We have an accountant 1 who serves for over 10 years, and she does the work of what should be an accountant 3 or an accountant 4. And unlike Saipan, we don't have several sections that take care of all the work that accounting does. We have the accountant and we have the manager. We had taken someone from the Division of Revenue and Tax, a trainee, to function as the person to take care of Treasury. She makes less than 19. But she is the one who carries out the daily duties of Treasury. The people in accounting work as her alternate and her auditors. So if you guys could consider a Treasury manager, an account clerk 2, and an account clerk 1, that division needs to be manned by 2 people, not just 1 person from another division pulled to function as that role. We also need someone to take care of our IT section. So I'm requesting for a computer specialist. Rota is far removed from the island of Saipan. In as much as the people of OIT are great at what they do, they are not able to provide us with the immediate assistance should something happen here on Rota, which places our financial system at a very great disadvantage should something happen. It does not take a person with so much expertise to understand that Rota is where we are the most vulnerable. Revenue and tax, I am asking for a revenue enforcement officer. You guys had asked the mayor about the hot tax. You might not get an accurate amount of what is supposed to be the true value, because revenue enforcement does not happen immediately here on Rota. We have not been collecting our hotel occupancy tax correctly because we were not aware that bed and breakfasts were supposed to have been paying that. We are addressing that, but right now you have a tax tech 2 taking care of that role at her current salary. She's garnering the help of her other tax tech 2s. All those 3 women, those 4 women have been asked to do the work of a whole department that should be staffed at more than 4. I'm also asking for revenue agents at compliance so that somebody can take care of that division. These women have been working for the department over 10 years, and they're still at that very low salary and very low position. I'm asking for a branch manager for the Division of Revenue and Tax. Even though our operation is small, we had Mr. Vernon Manglonia here since 2020. And his contribution to Rota showed me that Rota needs a manager for that division. We have been able to get our skill set up of our current staff to almost 100%. We've been able to work on our books. We've been able to catch up on a lot of work that had been behind for years. In procurement and supply, I'm asking for a supply specialist 4. This is also a promotionary position for somebody who has contributed over 20 years to this government. That guy is still he's still at a technician level. That division needs more staff because there's just 2 people doing the work, the manager and her technician. For customs biosecurity, we have a vacant position that in 2025 will be unfunded. And I do not want to let go of that Agriculture Inspector 3 position, because as you see, getting a high position in Rota is almost impossible. So I refuse, and I beg you guys to please help us fight to keep that position. The people at biosecurity deserve promotions into those positions. So I'm asking for Officer 3 and Officer 2 positions for people who have served more than 20 years. I am also asking for Customs Officer 3 for our lieutenant who has served for over 20 years. She manages and supervises 15 people and has never been given a promotion since her last one. I came in and she's in 2020, and she had been occupying that position probably 5 years before that. I know that what I'm asking you for comes down to about 21 new positions, and almost all of them are brand new. Are promotionary positions. But these are people who need to be able to afford to live here on Rota. And they also deserve it because wherever the shortfall is, they are the ones who cover it. So in essence, they need to be able to afford their job, especially if the plan is to zero fund us for operations once again. I want to thank Senator Donald for helping us and advocating for the 3 positions for Customs Inspector 1s that we were given in fiscal year 24. I thank the governor and the lieutenant governor also for approving that. And I want you to know that those 3 candidates have successfully graduated out of Customs Academy. One of them is our K-9 officer now. Actually, he's a customs inspector, but performing the duties of a K-9 specialist and also that of a detective. So there's a great disservice to him there for his credentials. So there's a lot of things that are going on in my department that are old, and one day I hope can be resolved. My second priority used to be for rental of the San Paulo offices that we have up here. But in 7 days, we have to relocate back down to the Rota Mayor's office because we have not been successful in securing funding for that contract. And I want to thank Joten for considering us and had given us the rental for 3 rooms at $1,136.25. No one does business at that rate, not anywhere on US soil. Here on Rota, you need to come with $2,000 in order for you to sufficiently house the Department of Finance. So for that, I am very appreciative of them considering our financial situation. But now I'm going to ask instead for $30,000 to $65,000. $30,000 is for relocating just my financial systems over here to the right wing of the court. Why that cost sounds large is actually small. The true cost figure is actually somewhere around $65,000. We need to fly in Super Tech and the OYT technicians to be able to set it up for us. We have surveillance systems that we spent most of our ARPA funds on, and I don't want that investment to go to waste. And Department of Finance needs to have surveillance systems going on because of our enforcement and the fact that we are a collection point. So sadly, what should have been something around the total of $13,000 to continue the contract up here in San Paulo has now inflated to that greater amount. But I also understand the mayor when she's saying that we need to consolidate our expenses because utility costs plus rental at the San Paulo facility and over at CPA is going to be something that is going to be difficult for her. So moving us here, where the only thing she needs to worry about is utilities, is what I totally understand as a more feasible plan. And in that utilities cost, we actually owe CPA around 20 grand from what we owe them for our utility expenses at Seaport and at the airport. And even though that figure of 65 sounds very large, I want to caution you that underfunding that request greatly puts our financial systems in jeopardy because we won't be able to, OIT will not be able to have remote access into our system should we need their help. We won't have anybody watching us as we process things and whether anybody is hacking our systems. My third priority is for operations. And I broke it down into the different divisions, but in general, we need it for processing our daily operational obligation and mandates. We need to be able to give these people receipts. We need to be able to print. We need to be able to provide documents to other departments. We need to be able to fund freight. We need to be able to buy cleaning supplies. I have punished my staff for years of not allowing them to buy pens and staplers, office supplies, cleaning supplies, toilet tissue, paper towel. All those daily consumables, I have made that their personal responsibility, and that is not something that's supposed to happen. But we all made a collective choice on what it was that was important to us. And it was funding our salaries and getting things like our tables and our office and other large ticket items that we did not have. Revenue and tax, they need stamps. They're using stamps, and I've repeated this since I've been attending budget hearings and doing presentations. They have stamps from the time when my mother was working there. My mother is retired. So what they are doing is trying to make the best of the stamps and then penning in the parts that is not clear. If we were to ever to be taken into court, I'm not sure whether that would be a legal loophole that we are penning in what's supposed to have been an official stamp. We have, right now, I can tell you that if we are zero funded, I might not be able to print business licenses for people next year. I have less than a case of business licenses left and available to the division. Procurement and supplies, they need official stamps. They need to be able to make stencils to identify our government's items. I have these people cutting up boxes to make those stencils. You know, I don't know how my staff has been tolerating me, but I am so grateful to them. Customs and biosecurity. They are issued firearms, but they do not have bulletproof vests. That should go along with your firearms. It shouldn't be something that you don't have. It shouldn't be something that you might have an option to wear. They don't even have handcuffs. Should we need to detain somebody, we need to make sure that the Department of Public Safety is there to assist us. My officers are not safe. We don't have basic things like gloves to protect them should they come in contact with harmful substances. They don't have basic tools like a box cutter to open packages. They don't have tools like a screwdriver or anything that they need to properly inspect items. And that's all because we don't have the proper funding. Yes, at one time when we had ARPA funding, we had decided that we needed to send every single inspector to the academy, and that's where we spent a bulk of our money on, was training every single staff member under our department. Biosecurity, right now, we have been trying to implement quality control for our export because the reputation of Rota's agricultural export has been suffering. It is not one that is pretty on the island of Guam. We had a town hall hearing and we heard the ugly truth. So we've been working to try to get that program up and running. And with zero funding, we haven't been able to go and send our staff for training. We haven't been able to get seals or tags to certify that these products truly represent what the people of Rota and its farmers would like it to be. Guam had to do our work for us and force our hand to provide certifications for that. But at the same time, I am not comfortable with it because my biosecurity inspectors have not had the proper training and certification in order to do that. Since the dissolution out of DLNR, they have not been getting certified or trained out of USDA. We need an incinerator in order to properly dispose of items that have been confiscated. We need a freezer and a refrigerator to store these items that we have taken. We do not have that. So all those basic needs are things that I have been asking for since I started at this department. And it's something that I take very personally because it is a reflection of what I believe is my ability. We have now that we've been able to successfully bring the K-9 program here, but if we do not have funding for it, that K-9 officer needs maintenance, needs recertification, needs food. So if you guys are gonna ask me what my travel request for that looks overly inflated, it is for that. It is for certification, recertification, for training of my staff. You will see, if you check my records, I do not go off island for meetings. I do not go to attend workshops. There's no need for me to be the one receiving any of those because I'm not the one doing that work. That training cost is only for my staff. As you know, CUC and IT&E are things that we need in order to function, not on site, not only just for safety and to keep the lights on, but finance needs its systems to be able to connect and provide our services. My fourth priority is in computer systems and our equipment, and I'm asking for $15,000 for that. And that is 2 computers for procurement, 3 for customs, and I actually had to insert 1 for myself. I do not have a computer, but we don't really need to get 1 for me. I can use anybody's computer. But I need computers for these 2 divisions, otherwise they won't be able to do any work, and you guys will be paying them to do nothing. My 5th priority is communication, and that's asking for $20,000. We're actually going to let go of some of our lines when we get moved into the court, and we might just keep the airport, seaport, and probably 2 lines here at the courthouse, so that number will go down. My 6th priority is to get a vehicle for the K-9 program. Federal laws have mandates on how you deal with these animals, and the current vehicle that we're using, and I want to thank Senator Dennis for that. That was a donation out of his office, but we're putting him in the trunk and leaving the car running because he needs to have air continuously flowing and keep cool. But it's not a proper vehicle for its functions. Where do we put people that we arrest? There's no divider between the officers and the person that we are bringing in. And my last ask is for utilities, and that's about $90,000. I know it's a large number, but we will be moving into a larger facility that is going to take a lot of money to keep us cool here. We're going to be running more computers, and as we all know, how far you got to pull those lines contributes to the increase in your utility bill. But I have also decided that we will yield most of what we are asking for and just ask for things that are critically needed. And that is for the Division of Financial Services, we're asking for payment for our IT&E for fuel costs that we need to put in our cars to go and deposit daily, and to send off our pouch, toners and papers, freight, and for our relocation costs. I know people think that all we needed was toner paper and gas, CUC payments, and our phones to be paid, but I promise you that is a very big mistake. There's so much more that's going on in our divisions, and I wish you guys would all pay a visit and spend time in each island to see how we function. So that way you'll be able to see what it is you're appropriating and where it's going. So for financial services, our compromise ask is for $90,000 for operations. In revenue and tax, our compromise ask is for a mere $3,800, and that's just for the toner and paper and for the one-time expense to change our stamps. For procurement services, we're asking for $12,100, and that's for fuel, operational supplies, the repair maintenance of their vehicle, and for the computers. For customs biosecurity, we are asking for a compromise request of $345,193.28, and that is for fuel at $3,500, repair and maintenance of the 3 cars that we have, toner and papers for our IT&E payment, The K-9 program is actually what makes this amount go up into that amount, because we actually need 142,000, and that's for the car, the $120,000 vehicle. We need 15,000 to renovate the K-9, the kennel. One of our staff did his very best with recycled material, but to put the fence up, but that's not gonna hold if we let that dog out to roam. I can't guarantee that if he runs into it, that fence won't fall. That poor dog is actually in that facility and there's no power. He's in the dark. It is hot. There are federal obligations that we need to qualify in order to keep him. So I am breaking many laws. And I'm sorry, but that is on record here because I do not have the funds to do so. We need 5,300 for every 3 months for the K-9 and its handler to go to Saipan for its medical checkups and recertification. $200 a month is for its food and supplies. The PPEs that I'm asking for is for $15,000. That's to get vests for every single inspector, for gloves, for handcuffs, for life vests. These people go and they board vessels. They don't have those basic things. So I'm asking for headlamps, flashlights. That's where the money is going. There's no luxury ask here. The agriculture export program needs $15,000 because it needs lab equipment. How are we able to certify those documents that WAM should be able to bring in the exports from Rota, and we are certifying on a legal document that says this is safe for your island. You're not bringing in anything. And then I need $9,625 for our certification and licensing of our 15 inspectors. And that's for their CETA badges and their gun certification. The gun certification, you guys really need to support Department of Public Safety because they provide that gun certification and recertification for the departments here at no cost. So this one is really asking just to pay for our bullets. Our entire fiscal year for 24 has been funded by the Rota Mayor's office. We're very grateful to the Honorable Mayor Aubrey. Director Mafnas has also been a great friend to the island of Rota. He has always supported us whenever we needed help. So whatever it is he's asking you for, please support him. Supporting Director Mafnas is the same as supporting the island of Rota's Customs Biosecurity. I also want to thank the Rota legislative delegation. They have also been funding a lot of our training and travel for the Customs and Biosecurity. The Department of Fire and Emergency Medical Services has also been helping us with our community projects. They paid for the installation of our AC, and the Commonwealth Ports Authority has also been one of our greatest partners. So when these departments come before you, please support them because we have all been taking care of one another. But if you do not fund the Department of Finance, even to a fraction of it, you are putting that burden, that financial burden, directly on the people that work there. I'm sorry, I'm very emotional. Because there is no way for me to repay them. I can't reimburse them. They don't listen when I tell them not to buy those things because they cannot accept to continue to get paid and not provide the service and at the quality and standard that they have been giving, because what they do at work has also been who they are in this community. I thank you. I apologize for my emotions. I am ready to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Artico, for your detailed narrative on your requests. Oftentimes I think we put too much pressure on finance to do a lot of the collection when really there's not enough resources behind your agency to carry out some of the functions that we often or we highly expect from the department. And understanding the needs of your department and how best we can help and assist in a lot of the divisions that you oversee, it has been a challenge in the sense that we are always trying to find ways in which we can make it easier in terms of whether it be getting additional support from other agencies that work directly with your department, such as this MVA hot tax that we've been talking about. For one, their percentage of the hotel occupancy tax goes to funding the enforcement part of the revenue tax that goes out and assesses these Airbnbs and hotels to ensure that they're paying that occupancy tax. And so hearing that it seems like that hasn't been extended to you, whether it be through MV or the central office stipend, is concerning in the sense that none of that is being shared with the other islands and it's just kept within stipend. But that's certainly something that we can continue to look for and question the secretary when we see her next week. Just to start on my question, have you received any financial support from the secretary's office? I know you mentioned Director Mothmas, but that addresses one division. Have you received any additional support from the secretary's office?
No.
Have you shared your request with her? And if so, how has she responded?
In fiscal year 24, we had a situation where they were they cut off our IT&E services and our CUC. I had put in the request for assistance with that. I don't want to share the response because it might misrepresent what she meant to say. And at that time, the government was trying to figure out how to make payments all across the municipalities, not just my department. So we were lucky enough that the mayor was able to work out some kind of an arrangement, and we got our services turned back on in 2 weeks. So understanding that they're having challenges and we're not able to assist us at a time when killing those two critical utilities that are vital for the operations of the Department of Finance, I understood that I would probably have to figure things out on my own. So in answering your question, did I reach out to her this year? No, I did not.
Okay, thank you. I do hope that maybe try to establish that communication and see if you're getting any support from central government. That way, if there's some kind of a resistance towards your request, or that what they can assist you with, then that's where we can come in and try to see how they can provide that support, knowing that a lot of the processes still go through the central finance office. And so from what I'm hearing too is that some of their staff are on an 80-hour work schedule, and that's because some of their staff are partially funded maybe through indirect costs from grants. But where is that equity with offering that to the employees here as well? What's the time frame for when you would have to start moving into this building?
Our contract ends July 31st. We had a timetable to move in here around May. But unfortunately, the court is not ready to allow us to move our stuff. They need to change out the carpet for the tiles. There's some minor renovations, and we need our fiber optic cables and surveillance systems to be in place. So those things probably is going to put us back until October, November. We are prepared, and we are starting to move back down to the Rota Mayor's office into my office that I share with procurement and supply. So that means we're going to have 6 extra bodies and all their equipment and their desks and tables, as well as their operations in that small shared space. We're not sure. We have a general plan. It's a little bit chaotic, but we will make it work. We've always been able to make it work. When our power was cut, we processed manually. The Department of Fire was able to make us use their computers. So I'm very lucky that my staff is very resilient, very creative, and very determined to ensure that their job gets done and services is not disrupted. So if you guys receive complaints about Rota and how we are operating, please forgive us and allow us some wiggle room there, because we're going to be doing the best we can until we get situated in what we hope to be our permanent home. We are the only department on Rota that is technically homeless. So we were really hoping that the offices in Sen FA would have been something that had been permanent, because that was only our taxpayer services. That was what was important to us, so we made sure that that's the first divisions that went up.
Okay, thank you. I think by now all your computers should be laptops, since you guys are very mobile and have been jumping from one location to another. But I appreciate the work that your staff and under your leadership have done to provide these services up here in San Paulo especially. Have your customs officer have they been paid, or are they being paid under the CIQ account whenever they conduct inspections outside normal working hours?
Well, we have an agreement with Star Marianas because we wanted to make things easy and more affordable for our people here. Because we understand that anytime you incur costs, that extra cost gets moved to your consumers. So our agreement was, before we make our schedule, they're supposed to give us a schedule of their services. Anything after that and outside of the schedule, we are able to apply the CQ of 2 hours. Is that enough? Is that fair? No. But that's the compromise we made in order for our people to not have to pay a higher airline ticket cost. And this is not true when it comes to emergency flights. We waive it. So that's the answer to that. Even if they work 5 hours, we only charge them 2 hours. The rest, we have to work it out with the mayor of Rota.
Have you looked at the implications of the 10-hour cut now being applied to all law enforcement officers, and what that would look like for customers?
It's really unrealistic. Star Marianas flies down to Rota. It has 3 passenger flights and sometimes 2 passenger flights a day. They have been consistently flying in on Saturdays and Sundays. And we also have our post office and the Micronesian Air that services the U.S. Post Office to inspect. Out of the airport, we have about 2,500 pounds weekly of export that we need to inspect. We have about 10,000 pounds that comes into Rota on a weekly basis through the airport. Out of the seaport, we have about 15,000 that comes into Rota on a weekly basis, and we have about 5,000 that leaves Rota on a weekly basis. So no, that 10-hour cut is not going to be enough for me to be able to provide the safeguard of our ports. What's going to end up happening is I'm going to end up having to look at my staff and say, will you be able to accept comp time that you may never be able to take? What other options am I going to have? Staggering their shift. There's 15 people. Our SOP requires 3, 2 customs inspector and 1 biosecurity. We are out 1 biosecurity that needs 3 people. If any one of them is sick or goes on leave, then what am I going to do? I'm going to leave. It's going to be me leaving one or the other port unattended. Right now, our narcotic statistics looks like we only average about 2 grams a year, right? It's low. It's very low. But for a population of 1,008, that's a lot. And if anybody has ever shared how narcotics differentiates between the islands, Rota street value for an ounce is tripled. It is tripled here because they really don't, buying a scale is something that is not affordable. So they eyeball it. So you'll be able to buy an ounce in Saipan at a cheaper price, bring it here, and possibly be able to turn it into almost $10,000. If you talk to our grocery stores, you're going to find out why. It's funny, you might want to ask them, why do they keep the juice straws behind the counter as opposed to with the juice in the boxes? So our statistics is not a true reflection of what comes through our ports. It's shameful to say that, and it's not because my inspectors aren't good. It's because we don't have a lot of resources to help us. So having that K-9 program here has shaken a lot of situations. We have not found anything this yet, but it does not mean that we have not been having alerts. Right now, people are trying to figure out where they can, what are our weak points, because this is something that just came to Rota in May. That is 1 dog and 1 person. That poor K-9 is overworked. Her schedule is so full by the afternoon, she does not want to cooperate. So, we need help. By 2025, 2026, she's going to be up for reevaluation if she's still fit to serve. So that means I'm going to be asking you guys, if I'm still here, but I will, if I'm not here, I'm pretty sure my staff will make sure to ask, that we're going to need another 15,000 to replace the dog. So no, 10-hour cut is not good for customs biosecurity here on Rota or any of the islands. So I'm hoping that the governor will consider Director Mafnas's request again and exempt our division and allow us to work at 80 hours.
Speaking of the dog, do they perform searches on inter-island cargo and passenger, or just Guam?
I'm very happy to say that yes, having the K-9 program here has allowed us to inspect inter-island passengers and cargo.
All right, thank you for that. The floor is open to any of the members. Recognizing Senator Mendiola.
Thank you, Chair. Your explanation is very thorough, so I don't have much questions. Just very much follow on the K-9. Just wanted to, you kind of explained that it's a it's a great program, right? A lot of deterrence thus far. There's been no catch, I guess I would ask, on the specific canine that we got here. Have there been any success in finding anything through the canine program?
We've had some false positives, but like I said, this is something that's been new. We have been seeing since it started going on social media that the canine was coming to Rota, we have noticed some changes in activities. So deterrence to me is one of the best preventative measures. And I would rather that we never find anything and people just don't try because they know that we have it there. We have Coney there to assist the other inspectors in ensuring that we will catch what would be able to come through here. So you might be hearing in the next few days that Star Moranis is questioning why do we need 3 to 4 inspectors? We need 3 to 4 inspectors because our SOP is 3 people, and that does not count our canine officer or our narcotics detective. So that's where the increase in charges comes from. Of course, you know, we're not just gonna have them there because we wanted to have them there. There was reasons why we have them there, flags and patterns and behaviors and activities that have been reported. So just in advance, if in case you guys come across that question, if anybody starts writing to you, that's why. But so far, we have not found anything. We've had several false positives, and she's been doing a good job. We really love her. We hope she's able to stay with us for a long time. But we are going to be needing another canine inspector soon.
Thank you for that. I guess that's good news. We can anticipate that either 2 ways, whether we're successful in deterring or we're missing some. But I like you said, it's great news that we're not catching anybody, and that's the last news that we would want especially for a small community. Just to follow up on that, I know you commended the director, Muffness, for this program and a lot of the support. And I have spoke to him a few times about the canine program, and he's very supportive. And you're right, he's been really adamant about trying to make this program succeed. So with that, I wanted to just kind of touch up and follow up if you've ever reached out for a vehicle or something to transport the canine to and from.
I share my budget requests with the director, and he's doing the best that he can. But like he had explained to me, he is no longer in charge of his budget. So anything that I request from him, even though he agrees and wants to help me, it has to go through the process, and he's not the last deciding body. He was supposed to send down a vessel to help with us because we wanted to start, doing stop and boards, because Rota has about 16 points around the island that we're vulnerable at. And so we needed that vessel to come here, so we'd be able to be more active on those patrols. But there was an accident and the vessel was damaged, but he's getting that repaired, and we will have that here in Rota soon. And of course, with that comes repair and maintenance, and I'm gonna have to train somebody to be able to drive that boat. But I always like trying to figure out how to work with other departments, leverage our resources, and spend as much as possible. So we were gonna work together with the Department of Public Safety. So it's not just gonna be one agency that's gonna be benefiting from that, it would be another.
Absolutely. Working together with DPS and other enforcement agency, I think is beneficial, so that in terms of less for them to kind of worry about in crime rates rising and all that stuff. So leveraging the resources is beneficial for as a matter of fact, the entire municipality, so I agree with you completely. I wanted to go over to a question in terms of taxation. Do you have any information, or I guess the question is, do you have any list of taxation or uncollected taxes for the municipality?
I'm gonna have to get that information for you at a later date, because even ourselves, we do not have access to that information. The last I can tell you, when we were able to assess it ourselves, and this was in 2001, we have over $1 million of uncollected taxes. And we've been trying our hardest to reach out to those smaller ones. And the staff here has been making legway in collecting things that have been under 20,000. So for people without the beautiful titles and the large salaries and the less resources, I think they were doing a good job. Right now, I can't give you any tax information on that because we don't have access to that information.
Thank you for that. And I did ask this question because your staff actually has reached out to me personally. I'm being frank too that I have missed some of those taxes, and prior to my departure last time, your staff came up to me and were like, "Hey, you owe this. You need to pay for this." And I was just asking. First of all, commended them for that, and I told my wife and I, "Hey, we got to do our part too." You're right. Everybody's struggling. It's hard to pay taxes, but at the end of the day, it's a part of the system that makes our government function. So we have to try and enforce it and try and at least collect as much as we can. Of course, not everybody, like you said, has the means to just pay these taxes, businesses or individuals alike. But I think enforcement and just going out there and having an idea of, how much liabilities we have out there and how much we can collect versus we can't collect. What's our game plan? What's our course of action? Well, at least give us an idea, or at least give you some leveraging with the Secretary of Finance to work on pulling some resources for the municipality as well. So, anyways, I just wanted to ask that. You've been really thorough, so I thank you for that. Mr. Chair, you.
Thank you, Senator Mendiola. I recognize Senator Rovaldo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Ms. Fiscal. I agree with you. Not only is deterrence of drug infiltration to Rota the best approach, but it's also the cheapest, so that it doesn't further burden the municipality. I just wanted to make a comment on some of your priorities. Thank you for being very thorough as to the actual needs of your department. With respect to WGI, unfortunately, that is beyond our control. We will make the ask through the budget process. We don't know if it'll pass, but work with us here too, because we are in the situation we are in now, with financial resources not being available for the entire CNMI. With respect to your priorities, and I feel for your employees that I think they should be compensated appropriately for the work that they do. So work with us here in lieu of, let's say, getting computers. I would much rather focus on giving your employees the much needed salary that they deserve, especially since they have not been given their WGIs in several, in the last several years. So, and you mentioned that you needed positions also to augment some of your divisions. So in lieu of getting new positions, tell me more about your priorities, whether increasing the current employees, are you and your staff able to live with the number of employees you currently have, but bump up their salaries as opposed to granting new positions? Because obviously, if we give you new positions, an increase in the incumbent personnel would be a difficult situation. It really puts us between a rock and a hard place because we have to, as Senator Dennis Mendiola alluded to earlier, we really have to take from one division or one municipality to provide for some of the critical needs of the entire government. And we're not one to play favorites with which municipality gets more. We are trying to help you. We hear your pleas and we empathize with you and your staff. So work with us. Would you prefer a salary increase as opposed to new positions?
So I want to explain, it's not so much that I wanted a promotion and then that vacated position to be opened. OPM and OMB wants us to have a brand new FTE with its salary before we are to promote that person. I tried to reallocate to a higher position and I was told that that is not possible. You need to have its own FTE and its own salary. You can't just ask for the difference of that position and then change the position title to the promoted position. So I just want to clarify, that's why I was asking for the new promotionary FTEs. Division of Financial Services can function by itself, but they do need help because the staff that sits at Treasury assists. Everybody in my department is an alternate to other positions. The revenue trainee is an alternate timekeeper. She's an alternate accountant. She's an alternate, clerk. That's not fair. I wish I could have taken Latsa somewhere and just promoted her, then that would have been easy for me, but unfortunately, the way the system is set up, that's not what is something that I'm able to do. Revenue and tax, they need at least 2 more people to assist in revenue enforcement. Revenue enforcement needs to happen here on Rota, and it is not enough for the team in Saipan to be flying here every so often to address our situations here, or else what has been happening here is going to continue to happen. And me asking these women to function as revenue enforcement team after hours and telling them you may or may not be paid overtime is an injustice to them. Procurement services, they might be able to function with the 2. Administration, we don't need an extra person. We just needed that staff to be promoted. Customs biosecurity, we need at least 2 more biosecurity officers, and we need at least 2 more customs inspectors. But we're able to maintain with our current staffing there, but I am going to need biosecurity inspectors. That one is, especially with this new requirement by Guam, it's not enough to happen with just the 3 people. Because we're going to have to physically inspect every single item in the sack. We don't just look at the exterior. We're going to have to choose some to inspect, and we're going to have to take them apart. So those are things that we're going to have to sit down and work with our farmers on how best to tackle that, because that is going to be something that is time consuming. So, but I can't properly plan for that if I'm going to be working with an army of 3.
Thank you. You also mentioned you needed at least 1 FTE for IT.
Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. That's very important.
A comp specialist, to be specific.
Yes.
You said because if anything should happen to the system, somebody from Saipan has to fly here and address it.
Yes.
Have you ever experienced any situation where a body from Saipan would actually come here and fix or?
Yes, we had. We had a breakdown in 2021, and they had to fly 2 people in to fix our systems. Just this year, we had a security threat, but because they're able to have remote access, because we have that system in place, they were able to address it from Saipan. It was a minor issue, but imagine how long I had to wait in order for them to answer the phone, in order for them to read my email, in order for somebody to be taken offline of what they were doing and to invest it in what my problem was. So it probably like 4 hours passed. They didn't fix the situation until the next day. So if other parts of the world last week were having serious issues, it's only a matter of time before something happens here.
I agree with you, and I think it's important to be proactive with the trends of cyber attacks and cybersecurity issues facing us, and we read about it weekly, right? But if one FTE is given to you for a comp specialist, do you have someone on island that is qualified to take
Yes.
that position?
Yes, we do. We even actually
That would be another issue.
yes. We actually have 2 people who are from Saipan who are interested to move and work in Rota. So we do have some people who are local and are qualified. And we have 2 people in Saipan who are willing to work here. They've actually been willing to and been asking to work here since 21, but we've never been successful in getting a position here. So they've been asking me, to secure a position, they will move to Rota and work here. But I've not been successful.
That would be an easier fix because we can just move that position from Saipan to Rota.
No, it's not a current staff. It's not a current
Oh,
staff.
okay. I see. Oh, I see. A new
Yes.
applicant.
So actually, our revenue trainee, who is the alternate to everything, she is also functions as our IT person. So she's one of the lowest paid in our department, but she works the hardest. I really abuse her. They feel that the better work they do, I seem to punish those who do better and who do more.
So I'm not understanding why your employees cannot be reallocated, because that is an allowable,
That's something the personnel management would be able to answer. And
I see reallocations every
yes,
year.
we've seen it. We know it happens.
Yeah.
Why I'm denied, I don't know. I don't know how to justify it. I've even figured, am I not using the right
And this
words?
is personnel, coming from
This is-
personnel.
This is coming from personnel.
Personnel Rota, personnel,
Personnel Saipan.
okay.
I was
will
frustrated
get
with
to-
Rota, thinking it was just Rota not wanting to. So I went directly to the director, and I did not get the response that I was hoping for.
I will definitely look into that,
Thank
why
you.
you're not being allowed to reallocate these employees in order for them to receive higher salaries. If it's a funding issue, certainly lapses, if any, can cover that. So I'll look into that. But again, I didn't understand your response with respect to like your accountant 1 performs the work of an accountant 3 or 4. So if we were successful in reallocating that person to the proper position and pay, your accountant 1 will be vacant, but we may have to either dollar fund it or 0 fund it.
You can dollar fund it until such time.
Yeah.
I really don't want to lose the FTE, because actually that division does need help.
Okay.
They process every single department's, requests. They do fund certifications, they do travel, they do everything that a whole army in Saipan does. And they do it they complain, but they don't threaten that they're not gonna do the job, and they don't not do the job. If anything, they try to do so much more to make it more efficient for other departments.
You also mentioned that you had probably a case or left of the business licenses.
I have less than a case, it's half.
If it's any consolation, Saipan business license printed on computer paper.
We don't even have computer paper.
So it's not even green anymore, it's white.
We
And
get
they
our
just
paper.
design something on
Yeah.
the computer. here, which really looks tacky and something that anybody can actually do. But okay, we will take into consideration all your priorities. I really appreciate understanding more of the challenges that Rota, especially your department, from what I've heard from you. Again, I don't know how to, if I had money, I'll empty my pockets just so you guys could survive.
Thank you.
But we will certainly look into and take into serious consideration the requests you've made today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Rota. I recognize the Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chairman, and good afternoon again, Director. We certainly appreciate your testimony, and I would have to admit that it's really heartbreaking and depressing at the same time to hear the challenges that you're faced with along with your staff or your divisions underneath you, just to even attempt to try and provide the services that is mandated on you guys. I'd like to touch on Senator Dennis's question to you earlier regarding any outstanding taxes for the municipality of Rota. But before I do that, I'd like to ask, is there a reason why you don't have that information or report or access?
We do not have access to that information. We actually had to garner the help of the Special Assistant Oscar Babalta to be able to be given access to what it is we needed. We weren't able to even see our receipts before.
Not even viewing access?
No.
To reports?
But now we are, but being that they are only revenue tax technicians 1 and 2, the position does not allow them security clearance or access to anything higher.
Okay.
So we don't have a manager here to have managerial access. We don't have auditors here to have auditor access. Mr. Vernon Magnolia, he's instrumental to Rota, but our arrangement is he only does, even though he's here, he's only able to do Saipan work. He's not able to assist us in our operations. He's not able to, before we were using him for training and we were, I christened him the acting director. And then I got told that he was only put here as under consideration of his personal requests, but he has his own workload to do that he has to complete. So while he's here, he tests out our systems, so I'm happy that at least he's here, we're able to hear that, and he fights for us to have more access on the system, but their position titles is what seems to be hindering our ability to have access to anything further.
Have you ever tried asking or requesting for those reports, either to the Secretary of Finance or the Director of Revenue and Tax?
The staff has requested, and sometimes we are successful, but those requests, everybody has their workload in Saipan.
Sure.
So we might be able to get our inquiries back like a few days or a week from that initial request.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we launched the new system, everybody had to upload. So asking for an updated, information has just taken the back burner to it.
Okay. So just a simple recommendation, perhaps maybe you could request either through the Secretary of Finance or the Acting Director for Revenue and Tax to provide you guys with a recurring monthly report, so you don't have to always request for updates or, that's kind of what I did. But if you don't have the information as to what Senator Dennis was inquiring earlier, for the municipality of Rota from tax year 2019 to 2023, there's an outstanding balance of $41,000, a little bit over $41,000 in back taxes, which is really, really small compared to what the island of Saipan has an outstanding balances. So, kudos to the people of Rota for paying their taxes on time. And, sounds like you have a very resilient team that works very, very hard, to perform their duties and responsibilities. So I just thought I'd address that inquiry from Senator Dennis. I was reviewing the narrative that was provided to us earlier, and geez, where did it go now? Here. It talks about, I was reading the challenges, and one in particular really caught my attention is the issue of rat infestation in one of the buildings, I think, that you guys are occupying. Has that been resolved?
No, but it's not as bad as it used to be.
You're
No.
too kind. It's
Well,
nice.
that building is close proximity to our dump. It needs a lot of renovations, and the fact that the AC unit is not working,
Mhm.
it really.
Is that a
contributes
rental or is that?
No,
government owned?
that's the library facility.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Because I was thinking that if it was, if the building is being leased, then maybe that's something that could be resolved with the landlord, but I guess in this case, it's government
Yes.
facility. And then on the organizational chart, right, you have 6 divisions under finance, and I believe 3 or 4 of them were vacant, of which you've already mentioned. Are they still vacant to this day?
Yes, we only have 2 managers running 2 of the divisions. The rest do not have. And, every division has a director. Rota is the only place that does not have a director for every division. You have 1 director for the department, minus the managers. How do you really expect me to be an expert and an authority, an advisor, and a person to be able to guide all these critical divisions? And if you see the critical divisions that do not have managers is revenue and taxation and customs biosecurity. So those 2 divisions should not be without a manager. This position is a revolving door. And you shouldn't have somebody who is there that is permanent, ensuring the priorities and the operations of those 2 divisions.
I agree. I see that the treasury also is still vacant.
Yes. Well, not vacant, there's nobody there. That does not have any staff at all. No manager, no clerks, no nothing. That is staffed by somebody from revenue and tax that we pulled off the line, and we told the rest of the 3, figure it out and work it the best you can, because I need this person here.
Is the Secretary of Finance aware of this
Yes.
situation?
Congresswoman Gilly has been asking and advocating for one of the positions to be given to Rota, and we have not been successful in that.
How long has this been this way?
It's been that way since 2020.
Since
2022.
2022. Do you think there's any internal control issues with this? Taking
Internal
someone
controls.
from a different department or, section and putting them into treasury? I would assume treasury is the one that's dispersing the check payments or transfers and stuff like that?
That person that we took out of revenue and taxation used to function as treasury here. They were collecting payments, they were distributing the checks. Sometimes accounting was the one distributing the checks. So all we did was move it into its own little section and have the person who was doing it anyways, the revenue and tax, perform that duty, then had the people who were auditing it anyways functioning as
So there were
auditors.
checks and balances in place, so
Yes.
you wouldn't say that there were
No,
any
there's
internal
no
controls?
internal controls.
Got it.
I know that OPA report kind of made it seem like we have internal issues, but I promise you that before we even started, we addressed that first before we convince Treasurer Connie to allow us to have that division here. It was not a decision that was taken lightly, and I did not make it independent by myself. But we needed to have it here. We would like to have check printing returned back to Rota. It used to happen here. It does not happen anymore.
Okay. All right, thank you for that clarification. Under, I guess, D, concerns, challenges, and areas of concerns. The first one on there is that 60% increase in employee absenteeism and tardiness in critical divisions and 60% decrease in job satisfaction department-wide based on in-house survey. Would you care to
Yes.
share with us?
When we went from giving them their WGI to nothing, we went from having an operational fund to zero. Of course, you're going to have stressed out, unhappy people, because if it happened one year and then it was resolved the next year, but it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So do they love their job? Yes. Are they happy right now? No. And we're really hoping that 25 will be something different. We had actually, they had assured me that this is the government pattern. It's really bad for 2 years, then it gets better, then maybe we might have a 3-year break, and then it gets worse. And so they had pegged that 2025, 2026, we will have some improvement. So we're hopeful that that in-house survey will be different next year. But I had to be completely honest with myself and accept that my staff are not happy. When you make less, when you take a 10-hour cut, that means your personal finances is affected. More so when you have to pay, you have to fork out the operational funding just to work. So no, my staff are not happy.
So it sounds like there's a very low morale. Okay.
Morale, if you meet my staff, you couldn't tell that they're unhappy because they laugh, they joke, they're happy to come to work, but see them by 3 o'clock or when it's time to pay their CUC bill, then you might get a different answer.
Sure. Okay. And then there's also under, I guess, Munis. So I guess there were some, according to the narrative, Munis has many upgrades and the financial services staff are not provided with access to trainers and programmers to properly train them on the changes or modification. This, because of the lack of training, it caused backlogs and delayed processing of POs and stuff like that. Was there a reason why they were not part of the training on site then?
That's something you probably have to ask the Secretary of Finance. We used to have the training turned on, but it has been turned off. So changes to our systems and how we process things has happened, and we find out about it after the fact when there's a situation that arises and we're trying to figure out what happened. And then when we call then the staff that they're informed, you guys processed this wrong, or it didn't happen because of X, Y, Z. There is a communication issue, and I will take full responsibility on that because I'm supposed to be the one checking up on those things. But absent knowing that there was a problem, I was not aware that I needed to. But yes, there is a communication breakdown, and I will take responsibility on my part for that.
Were there any efforts or initiatives to try and at least send one person from Rota to train with them and then come back and train the rest of the staff, or send someone from SIPA to come and train the staff here?
We had asked accounting if we could send one of our staff over, and when the mayor was finally able to sacrifice something to fund the travel for it, and we never got a response back from accounting whether they would accept her there to take care of the situation that we have with these travels where people were getting payroll deducted for travel that they had already reported. So I don't know what to say.
And I'm asking because it doesn't seem like it's isolated to Munis. It also happened during the RMIS.
Yes.
I guess Division of Tax and Revenue and Taxation had also training, and Rota was not included in that training. So I don't know if this is a pattern or it's just a complete disregard of Rota because out of sight, out of mind type of idea. But I shouldn't speculate. But these are important trainings that has to be had, and we would definitely ask the question to the proper.
Well, in regards to the REMA system, what is that? Babanta was very instrumental in opening that door. We were able to get most of the access that we had, the basic access we requested for, and Rota was included in the training sessions. But you have to understand that Rota is not a culture of being so computer and technology as literate as our counterparts. So having a training on a system that is absolutely unfamiliar to us over the phone, because we don't have a video or conference capability. So these people were using their personal phones to try to listen to a technical training that they're not there in person, and they have to wait for a period where there's silence for them to be asking questions. So if you know, psychologically, nobody receiving technical training online is going to want to feel like, I don't want to disrupt the flow and ask a very basic question that they had already explained 5 times. So that's why when Munis first launched, we spent almost a bulk of our ARPA funds having my staff trained there and bringing the trainers here. We would like that luxury and that opportunity to do that with our revenue system, but we just don't have the funds for it. And the mayor right now, in as much as she wants it, because she understands that it's a priority, she's faced with balancing the situation there in Saipan with the medical referral, balancing whether the security at fire or DPS is to be sacrificed. There's only so much you can do with the amount of money she was given this year. So something that we say we are getting online, they're just hoping and praying that it works.
Okay. Thank you for that. So can we go back to you were sharing with us about the export part of I guess customs and biosecurity, right? And I believe you had said something about not having the proper equipment to certify certain things that are leaving the island of Rota and going into Guam. Is that still the case?
That's very much the case. We don't have a microscope. We don't.
So now I'm very concerned, and
Yes.
I'm kind of not wanting to ask this question publicly, but are you saying we're certifying things without the proper
This week,
documents and
yes.
on a government form, right?
Yes. So in July 12th, we got a memo from Guam asking for a phytosanitary certification permit. Before, they were just requesting for an origin permit. Origin permit it came from Rota.
Sure.
Now you're asking us on a government document to certify that this is free of worms, parasites, insects,
So if you don't have the
larvae.
equipment to test
No, we don't.
so
We don't
are
have the
we,
facility for it.
so are we still certifying documents and then telling Guam that we are
So
certified?
actually, I wish I had the form with you because we were just arguing about it yesterday. So on that form, there's a criteria, right? And on that form, these inspectors only sign that they know what the product name is.
Okay.
Everything else, whether there's chemicals used, whether there's bacteria on it, whether there's larvae on it, we do not check those boxes because we understand the liability that comes with that document. And that person who certifies and signs their name is liable for that, should we have problems like
And
the right
that's
of
where I was going with
Yes.
this, right? Because when you're signing a
Yes,
document certifying that you are acknowledging, you're not perjuring yourself and that you
Right.
have conducted all the necessary processes to say that, whatever is leaving Rota and entering
Yes.
bond is indeed clear, free and clear of any, okay, so I just want to make sure that.
yes. No, I
Because of
understand.
the liability.
Because, these guys are not naive to that. And that is the argument that we've had for days. So, that's why if you take a look at my travel costs, I can't put training and certification, I can't put the travel in there. I know it looks better if we were to put travel expenses in that box, but that's not how it works. So my request for travel in my budget submission, the reason why it looks that large is biosecurity needs a lot of training, and it's not gonna happen in Saipan, it's gonna happen in Guam and abroad. And this is something that they would need to have routinely every few
Sure.
months. And especially for something as serious as that.
So is there a reason why you're putting the training and licensing stuff under travel and not under its own line item?
No, I'm sorry, I think I made you misunderstand. Airline tickets, car rental, and per diem, those have to go into travel.
Yes.
The cost of tuition, books, and application fees,
Training.
those goes into,
Yes.
the travel, the training and,
Okay, so you did break it out from the
Yes.
travel line. So it's in the proper.
yes, it's in the proper places. It's just that you can't go there and get a one-day training and
Oh,
come
yeah.
back. So
No.
those things are 2 weeks.
And this is why I was kind of asking
Yes.
the municipal council, whenever you put an amount into travel, right? You already have an idea of, how much you're spending and for what.
Yes.
And it's in these cases, like you have all these trainings and certifications and materials, right, that you need for your staff.
Yes.
And that's why I was asking that, because normally you would already know what it's for.
Yes.
Okay, and then, so did you submit a request of
Yes.
what you need for, as far as the equipment for the export stuff?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And then last, you were talking about OT, about staff taking on additional responsibilities after hours, and there were times when I think you said that you kind of just tell them that, hey, don't expect to be paid for overtime, or, if you work 5 hours of overtime, you're only getting paid 2 hours overtime. And I absolutely agree with you that it's such an injustice to your staff. But more importantly, I just want to, are these staff like hourly or?
They're all
some-
hourly. They're all hourly except for the 2 managers. And if you look at the cost containment section there, I think it's about 2 pages. We don't just, they've been so wonderful to even accept to stagger their shifts.
Sure.
That's not fair. But we understand that the mayor has to be the one to cover these overtime. She's consistently approved every overtime request that we turned in because we justify it and we show her on our schedule that even though we worked these extra hours, we did our best to amend our schedule to try to move and shift things around so that they can stagger their shifts, they can offset their time before we came to your table asking for overtime. So,
Okay. And I'm just bringing this up simply because I would hate for, yourself or the mayor to be in violation of FLSA, right? Especially because they're hourly employees. And if they do work the additional hours beyond the 40-hour work week, then they are legally entitled to be paid that overtime. And since you kind of mentioned that publicly, I just don't want Department of Labor to be listening on this public hearing and see that as a potential violation, so.
There's no violation
Okay.
there. What I'm saying is the mayor pays every overtime
okay.
we submit to her. When we take a look, when we create our schedules, if by Wednesday, we know we're gonna incur overtime,
Yes.
we adjust our schedule
Okay.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay,
So, the accountants and the timekeeper, they're on
it
top of
sounds like
these
they're
things.
very accountable, and so thank you for the clarification. I just didn't want any misperception or misunderstanding.
I appreciate that.
From the viewing public, right? Because there are people watching us. If not now, then we'll be watching later. And the last thing we want is for them to misunderstand what you were trying to say. So it's always good to provide that clarity to avoid any misunderstandings. So aside from that, Chair, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any other member? All right, well, we thank you for coming today. RD Cabo, you're no stranger to the legislature. You've always expressed the requests of your department. And as I stated in the earlier meetings, we have yet to see how the House will allocate, the budget. And so until then, if there's any discrepancy or any huge variance between what they're proposing and what we would like to see, we'll reach out to you in your office to see how best we can support and meet at trying to provide some of the requests that you shared with us today. So at this time, Marty, would you like to close out with anything before we dismiss you today?
I just want to say thank you for allowing me all this time to speak. I know Department of Finance is always very long in their presentation, and I want to wish you guys good luck and let you guys know that we are praying for you, because no matter what it is that comes of this budget, I can promise you and assure you that the staff in Rota will continue to provide the same level and standard of service that they've been providing to everybody here in Rota. So thank you very much. I wish you guys all a safe return to your homes. Thank you.
Thank you, RD Cabo. At this time, members, we'll take a 5-minute recess. Thank you. committee meeting. Next, we have the Department of Commerce. They submitted a request for personnel amounting to $256,000 to cover 8 FTEs. The governor's proposal only allocated $122,473 for the 4 that are currently employed by the department. The department has also requested for $201,500 for operational expenses. But only the OPA fee was allocated. And before us, we have the resident director for Department of Commerce, Mr. Tyson. At this time, I hand the floor over to you, Artie, to provide any statements.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of this committee. My name is Rodney James Sanikustaiskan. I'm the department head for Commerce. What we have submitted for our budget request is same as last year. So I don't want, there's not much changes, but first of all, my first goal is I want to request for FTE. I know it's not included in the governor's proposal, but I just want you guys to understand that our department, we're only 4 of us. The administrative officer, Ms. Aggie Manglonia, ABTC officer, John Barcinas, and the statistic, which is Serge Camacho. We have one, it's not an MOU, but they just lent us an employee over. So we've been using her as an admin as well to assist in the statistic area and other division like weights and measure. So basically, I'm asking for 4 FTEs. First, under the ABTC as a training, ABTC training. Our officer right now is intent of retiring, and I want to be prepared for that next person because we have a limited training and everything, and I don't know what to say, but you know, I requested this last year. Same thing for weights and measure, admin officer, and another one with statistic. I was in Guam for medical reason, and I was watching the budget hearing for the Congress, and it's new to me that it's a required that weights and measure has to be certified, and very sad that we don't have a certified person here. We have 2 personnel that they go out and they do recertification on the, the weights with the guidance from SIPAD. This is a liability for the department, and I'll promise you guys, I'm not gonna send anybody out now. That's a promise. What I'm gonna do is I will ask all of you guys to understand that that's a liability. I don't want my employee to get sued. You know, as what the Congressman Flores, I believe, you need to be certified in order for you to certify waiting machine. No. So those are the things that we have to be careful. And I'm not gonna take that responsibility, but I'll find a way how to train, cross-train our employee. Because right now, we don't have a weights and measure. And the other thing is, ABTC officer, we need a body system. I cannot jeopardize my one officer only out there. What happens if he goes out and do inspection at a nighttime? There's no backup for him. That's my liability again. That's the liability of the commerce or the department. We don't want to wait for his family to sue the department. We need to take care of those things. That's why I'm asking. We need somebody for a backup, and I believe in this system as an officer, body system. No matter where you go, you need somebody to be there with you, a backup. So that's the main. If you can possibly give me 2 FTs at least, but my request is at least for 4 FTs. I understand what we're going through right now. Shortfall of budget, we all understand. But you guys have to understand that you guys cut my salary from 45 to 40, minus 10 hours. That's a lot. And I swear, honestly, you can ask my people. I spend my money because there's no money in commerce. Very sad. The mayor asked us to do a lot of, beautification. We have to do it. We don't have equipment. Nothing. We have to use our own personal equipment. That's the liability again for the department. I will support the mayor because those are beautification. That's good. We need to make Rota beautiful. And I love that. But very risky business. This is the risk that we're taking on. Yeah. And very sad because, I love the department and I love to help. Even if it takes me to use my funds, I will do it. We did a lot of improvement. First of all, we take care of the restroom. It's now workable for my employees to use. They don't need to go home anymore. Very sad because all our employees is from Sen FA, and imagine our office is down in the village. But, we work together. We use our own personal funds to complete that project. And before turning over, I would like to thank the former acting secretary, Rios, when we started out to bring a vehicle over, at least second-hand but workable for our ABTC officer. I really thank him, Mr. Rios, and Acting Secretary Frank Cabrera for making it possible. We've also, the mayor, bring it over from Saipan to Rota. So there's no money, we don't spend money on it. They help us. And I thank Director David Martita for helping us bring that vehicle over. I'm very grateful and I really appreciate them. And I don't know how to thank them so much, but at least I make our ABTC officer can do something now. Better a second hand than nothing at all. Because we have vehicle there, but my goodness, even to repair a tire is very hard. We have a flat tire now, we cannot even use the vehicle because we don't have funds. Very sad. But I promised them, I said, we'll help, we'll find a way to have it repaired. We have another vehicle, which is somebody stole the battery. Very funny because it's an old 2000 or 2006 Toyota Corolla. At least, or 2016, I'm sorry. It's out of service. And the other request that I put in is for a big, full or pickup. Very important, because if this guys goes out to do testing for the fuel, they have some equipment that they carry, and that's flammable. I need that out to put, away from the employee, because the safety and hazardous. So I have nothing much to say. I wanna just really thank the former acting Secretary of Commerce, Mr. Rios, Mr. Cabrera, and Mr. Director David, for making the vehicle at least come over to Rota and for the use for our ABTC officer. I just got one question though, because our ABTC officer has been he's been asking me, is the benefit of a night differential still in place, or because I want to make him go out to do his night inspection, but I'm very hesitant to do that. First of all, he doesn't have a partner. The other thing, he's asking for night differential payment. I tell him, say, I don't know, but for the longest time, I know everything's been cut off. So if that can help me, at least that one. So I'm ready for any question, or Ayo, you wanna mention, add anything? Before.
Yes, good afternoon. I know that we're both here for asking, but I guess all of you guys are familiar with my face, that before I ask, I need to humble myself first and ask you to join me just to say thanks to our Lord that really provided us this breath of life and enabled us today to come this far to try and hear and try and help one another throughout these trying times. So I just ask you for a few minutes and follow along. So our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Lord, give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory now and forever. Lord, you promised us in Matthew 6:33-34, we seek your kingdom and your righteousness, and all will follow. Do not worry about the troubles for tomorrow, for it'll take care of itself. For today's trouble is enough. In Proverbs 19:21, you promised us, you said that many is the plan of a man in his heart, but only God's plan prevails. Marrying these scriptures with Psalms 119, 105, you said, the word of God is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. So Father, I ask you, Lord, that you just bind our spirits today and help us to understand, Lord God, what it is that we need to do to help ourselves in these trying times. And just bless us with the spirit of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. In your name, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. So nothing much to say, like the director said. I work alongside him. Everything that he proposed, I'm aware of, and only because I'm there in the Commerce for a long time. He brings me here just to help him answer questions that probably is not during his time. So we're open to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your prayers today, Ayo Malonja, and for your testimony, R.D. Lightskin. And also thank you, Ayo, for your countless years of service to our government. And I would have, it would be safe to assume that you are the person that the RD is saying that we would need to train additional employees to take over. And so we hope that this is something that the committee can consider in terms of providing the additional FTE. As far as funding, that may be the toughest challenge that we'll have to overcome. But, I know that there's been this issue with the revolving fund account that I'm sure you've heard from past budget hearings, as well as maybe in the House hearing last month, that there seems to be this significant amount of money that's sitting in an account that I think maybe central office is trying to, I don't know, maybe allocate, or maybe it's finance. So maybe I'll start my question out there in terms of have you had any progress in identifying whether those funds have already been allocated to Rota, and if so, what are the challenges that maybe you're facing in trying to access those funds? From our records, it's showing that under the Economic Development account, 521-60-200, there's at least 300,000 that's available in there. And if that's not a correct figure, maybe whatever your statements are showing as to how much is in that account or should be in that account.
Mr. Chairman and the entire body, I'd just like to share with you that just like the Directress of Finance had shared earlier, that this training for Munis is not afforded to us. I just learned Munis slowly, and I thank her that whenever I would have questions, even down with the preparation of the budget, she's very willing to guide me. I'm a very teachable individual. And so, like I said, there are things in the Munis that I still need to understand, most especially with the budgets. That 300,000, if finance here and what finance here is seeing, if finance cannot see what finance siphon is seeing, then what more with us? So I can open Munis, I can open the accounts that I have access to, but still there's things that I can't, because I don't understand, right? I can't really speak about it. So I know that I'm gonna go step forward. I know that the revolving account, 1959B, that's our revolving account, and still even with that account, you were aware, Mr. Chairman, of the issues that, they dump all the collections to that account 1959B, which 1959B before Munis came belongs to Rota, ABTC. 1959A belongs to Saipan, 1959C belongs to Tinian. So I don't know why at the end of Munis, they took all the money and they dropped it to 1959B. So.
Thank you for that. So how many revolving accounts are you familiar with? for Commerce?
I'm familiar with 1959B, which is the ABTC, right? The other one is 1959E. That is for the registrar of corporation. When I collect money for registrars for corporation documents or nonprofits, I would accredit it to 1959E.
And do you have access to the?
No, I do not.
Uh,
I only do provide services for our clients, CNMI wide. If they come to Rota, I assist them.
But is
That is-
1959E a revolving account that is used by Commerce?
I'm not sure,
Okay.
but that's the account that I credit to when I collect money from corporation.
But as far as revolving accounts that you or the already has access to go into, are you familiar with any of these accounts?
Only 1959B.
The ABTC?
Yes, yes.
So you're able to expense items under that account?
Yes, we did, and that's how we were paying our communication and gotten ourselves fuel. And some
What's the
goods.
average monthly revenue in that account?
We can, like I said, still, it's, everybody that collects drops it into there. So
But a portion goes to Rota, right?
it depends. So ABTC, right? So in the alcohol, beat or not, well, actually most especially alcohol, when we collect for alcohol, let's say the license is $500, right? There's a $50 added on top of that. So the $50 goes to us for our administrative.
Okay.
And then the 500 goes to the
General
general. Yes. yes.
So you're not aware of this economic development account at 300,000?
I'm not that I,
Have you communicated with the acting secretary in regards to any revolving accounts that Rota is entitled to or,
not myself. I don't know about that.
okay, if, that's the case, I'm hoping that you can communicate with Ms. Mofnas in regards to what are some of the revolving accounts that, you guys can have access to or you can be supported from. As of about a month ago, I was communicating with the Senate President because it seemed like, or sounded like the acting secretary wasn't familiar with the provision that would allow a suspension of the rules tied into that revolving account. So that means, as you've heard from the mayor's testimony, the tobacco account, they've suspended all the rules tied into that account, and so it can't be used for operational expenses. So now that's also applicable to any of the revolving accounts from the central Department of Commerce. And so if you haven't had that discussion yet, I hope you can reach out to Ms. Mofnas to determine how much is in there. I know at one point we were questioning, I think it was like over $1 million in one of the accounts. I think it was a corporation fees. And so it doesn't seem like they've been using that, or it could be a reconciliation error or between the JD Edwards and the Munis. But I know there are some monies in there. And so if you haven't had access to any of those funds, please try to reach out to Ms. Mofnas. And if there's no progress there, if there's some resistance there, please reach out to us to let us know so that we can open that discussion. I know she's up for a confirmation hearing soon, and so I hope that you can establish some kind of relationship with Ms. Mofnas so we can determine how much support she's providing to Rota and Tinian, and if she would continue to provide that support before we entertain her confirmation. And so if that's the case, if those are monies that you have access to and can use for operations, the one thing that we may be able to do is go ahead and allocate FTEs, unfunded FTEs on the general fund side, and possibly use these special accounts to cover those positions, at least for the upcoming fiscal year. And so that's the one advice I can provide right now. And I hope with the support from the members, you can agree to these additional FTEs, provided that they're funded through your special revenue accounts. And so I hope that's something that could be done within the next week or two, so that by the time we meet for budget deliberations, we can finalize those FTE numbers for you. Any other questions from the members? Recognize the Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chairman, and good afternoon to you again, Director, and your staff. Just one follow-up question regarding the 1959B. So you mentioned earlier that prior to Munis, this was a separate account on its own, specifically for the Rota ABTC, but now everything is being dumped into that one account for all three municipalities. But are you still able to segregate what's for Rota, and what's for Tinian, and what's for Saipan?
Yes, ma'am. We were able to isolate how much we have.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm trying to understand, who is dumping all this into one account? Is it because in Munis, that it's the only account that was created to record the transactions, maybe?
Maybe you could ask the finance.
Okay, okay,
Yes,
just,
please.
okay, so for now, everything is lumped into one account.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, that's all I have, Chair. Thank you.
Any other members? Recognize Senator Manila.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just wanted to answer the question that you had initially about night differential, and I'm not sure on the exact law on this, but I think it has to be budgeted. Furthermore, I don't think there's a specific law that allows or gives you that opportunity to pay night differential. But on the same token, I do want to mention that given the circumstances, I don't think that the course of action is to just say, I'm not going to send my guys out. I think that's something that we can evaluate and really work with other enforcement agency if Battle Buddy or if a two-man enforcement is your concern. I'm not sure of the other agency's policy, if that's doable. However, I do want to mention that we don't just give up our fiduciary duty just because we don't have the manpower. I mean, when we took on this responsibility, we knew the circumstances that we're getting ourselves involved in. So given that, I think it's important for us to continue to just try our best to enforce whatever it is, policies that you guys have in place. So I just wanted to comment on that matter. On another note, I saw your centric report, and I'm pretty much just trying to understand thoroughly the department's role in the municipality. And maybe you can just enlighten me on that. What's the role of the Department of Commerce in the municipality of Rota? What is the fiduciary duty, the task? What is the mission? I'm just curious because you come to us with requesting for FTEs and ABTC personnel. So I just want to know what is the plan, or what is the task, what is the mission for the department? If you can enlighten me, thank you.
Okay, our mission is to continue to uphold the execution of the wide range of mandate public laws and/or executive orders promulgated tailored to promote the growth of sustainable economy
Director,
development.
thank you. I don't want to insult you by to read me your mission, because I can see it right here. So that's fine. I just wanted to go down and just kind of ask about, because under public law, 1-A, you put on your, one of your mandates to uphold your mandate, and under public law 1-A, one of the things that the department is tasked with is to stimulate and encourage and regulate private investment to include foreign investment. So I just wanted to hear if there's any, given the shortfall of the manpower and all that, right? Is there any plans or any goals to try and fulfill that mandate? Or is there any current working proposal that you guys are working on as far as the commerce is concerned? Just curious.
We have plans of trying to help a small business, but right now we don't have all the necessary equipment to proceed. In the beginning of the last fiscal year, the mayor requested that, if we can lend them the computers that it's not being used at Commerce. So we lend them about 4 computers, 5, for them to use at the mayor's office. So our goal with the AO, I was telling her that starting next fiscal year is we have to sit down and bring back the business incubator so we can start that to assist the business, with small business or whatever new business. That's my goal.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And the reason why I'm asking this question, and I know this is a budget hearing, maybe I'm a little bit out of line, but the goal here is to try and start employing our subject matter experts to work on figuring out how you can even propose to the legislature if it's a policy issue that we need to push from our end to try and create revenue for the island of Rota. It's very important for me, and I was just thinking about this. I was talking to the chairman about this, and I said, let me probably propose this now, rather than waiting for new investment. Maybe a plan or a course of action is that we employ and maybe get with the mayor and get some staff, literate staff that can research and just come up with a business proposal, that we can try and sell, rather than just wait for businesses to come here. We see that the CNMI, or we're so remote that, even if you Google Rota, it's almost hard to just find Rota, So for me, maybe a course of action is that we create a business proposal, infrastructure, whether it be airline, and do all the legwork as a government entity and go and sell that. Work with MBA to get funding and go and sell this product so that we can try and entice investors to come this way. The problem is that we're going to just, and I'm bringing this up because we're just going to sit here and wait for investment. The likelihood of that happening is few and far between. So, given our state of the economy now, we see that we are pretty much going backwards in terms of funding. So, just asking, because I was just kind of going over, a lot of these requests, and I was like, it's time to come together as a community and start putting our heads together and work together. I'm willing to help and try and figure out how we can get past this really difficult times in terms of funding. So I just wanted to ask that. I was looking at the Centric report, and I saw the mandates, and I was like, it's really interesting because you're asking for manpower, and that's probably one of the reasons why you can't just accomplish this task. One of the reasons is you don't have enough manpower, and I want to make sure that we point this out because a lot of times we just get thrown under the bus saying that, oh, we're not doing anything, but if you don't give me the resources to do it, it's really impossible. It's close to impossible. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Mendiola. And just to add on to Senator Mendiola's recommendations, it seems like there's all these different organizations and entities that are involved in this economic development, including Department of Commerce. And to add on to that, we have our Rota Chamber of Commerce, which is becoming more active in the dealings of Rota. We have our CETA. And so I don't know, is this a duplicative effort or is it more of a collaborative effort? And so we want to see how the Department of Commerce can collaborate with all these different entities that really have this one goal of, bettering our economy through the different developments. And so I hope that you can continue to work with the Rota Chamber of Commerce, SVDC, CETA, trying to see what we can provide prospective investors, as well as how can we promote Rota to outside investors. Ms. Aguilar, I just I'm not sure who was the one that sent that email, but I did receive your narrative. I replied to that email with a contact within the Department of Finance that you can message to provide you a fund certification of the different accounts that you have, particularly the one that I've brought up today, what that account number is. And so she would probably be one of the best persons you can reach out to get a clearer picture of what that budget is and whether you'd be able to have access to it. Any other members? All right, if there's none, again, that's all I have. It's just like one last thing I want to close out with is just, again, I'm going to reiterate establishing that connection with your acting secretary, who may become the next secretary if the Senate chooses to confirm. But before that, if we don't have any understanding of how well you guys work together there, we don't want to wait until she's confirmed to find out that there's this disconnect between your office and the central office. And so you want to make sure that your office is equipped as well as being treated equally in terms of what is owed to you guys or what you have access to. And so with that, please feel free to reach out to any of the committee members or any of your Rota delegation to assist you further if you're going through any challenges there.
May I, yes, going back to Senator Dennis, yes, thank you very much for bringing up, pointing out on that centric report, the mandates, right? And I just want to let you know that every 4 years, I am given a new management. With a new management, it's new system, right? So it takes time to absorb what the new management and the new administration wants. So this is the 2nd year. So I thank my director here for just going beyond his capability to first tailor to the departments, to the staff. And I know that when he came in, I know that prior to this administration, the previous administration, we had plans for that business incubator center in the Department of Commerce, which is now being utilized as a conference room. And we do collaborate with other agencies. And I'm grateful that you see those deficits, right, in our community. And it's nice to know that you as public servants are willing to volunteer to come in, because mainly what we lack is the skills. Yes, we ask for FTEs. Also, when we ask for FTEs, we need those skills, right? If you notice that we're asking only for the trainees at the lowest level, but because we know the financial situation, we want to ask for marketing individual. We want to ask for a business advisor that we used to have, but we couldn't ask. So we were only asking just the meter. So thank you that you recognize those deficits. And yes, please, let's work together. The department is open. Come in, like Director Abby says, anytime that it doesn't have to be a budget hearing. Please schedule yourself to come in and see the department and get to know. That way, when budget hearing comes, we don't need to sit here 2 hours, right? we can just go, okay, I've been there, okay, let's go. It's plain and simple. We know already that we're asking for the sky, but you can only go to the clouds. So, thank you so much again. And yes, thank you, Chairman Donald, for addressing that situation with my access with meals. Thank you so much.
Lastly, thank you all, for the advice and recommendation. I will surely take that, and I will do my best, to help. I mean, that's why we're there for, is to help. And as you mentioned, I mean, like what Aggie said, if we can hire a master degree in business, just give me that FTE. I swear to God, I'll do it. So, I mean, we're only asking a little. We're not asking a master's degree. We're trying to protect the department, But if you give me the department, give me 200,000 for FTE, 200,000, I'll swear, even a lawyer for a business person, I will hire. But we have to remember that when you hire somebody with a degree, you don't just pay them 10,000 or at least 19,000, no? I don't think so. Not a bachelor's degree. I swear to God, I don't think so they're gonna accept. I mean, the mayor actually appointed me, with my experience only. I'm not a bachelor's degree, I'm not a master's degree, but I know how to do. I'm a hard-working person. I started out with CPA in 1991, 30 years with CPA. And I started out from the bottom, being jack of everything. I'm a master of none, So I'd be an electrician, plumber, maintenance guy, lawnmower, bush cutter, salesman, cashier, name it. Now I went to the top. I reached that top, but I don't have a degree. I'm master of none. So just give me that budget, for the FT. I will surely find that. And thank you again, and I wish you all a safe trip back home. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, before you excuse, I think some of your statements caused some members to want to provide some closing comments. So I'll recognize the vice chair and then the others.
Thank you, Chair. Just a real brief comment. Thank you both for your patience and understanding and, the financial situation that the Commonwealth is in. It's very considerate and admirable of you to, understand that, there's not enough to go around. And so you're only asking for the minimum. But here's my advice to you. I'm one that doesn't shy away from asking for anything because the worst thing that they could say is no. So if you know what your needs are in order to achieve the things that you would like to achieve within that fiscal year, ask away. The sky is the limit, And so never, ever, ever, it's a great, it's great character to know that you care about others and you're only asking for the minimum, but you'll never know what you're going to get unless you ask. And like I said, the worst thing that they could say to you is no. And to Senator Donald's recommendation, please do reach out to the Acting Secretary Muffness, because I know that she will be more than willing and happy to work with you and see how she could be of assistance. Give her the opportunity. And as it has been mentioned earlier, we don't want to go through the whole confirmation of potential confirmation of Secretary Muffness if we know that, there's not that great working relationship between yourselves and her, and even, Lila and Tinian. So go for the sky, okay? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I recognize Senator Rota.
Thank you, Chairman Donald. Just to provide you some information, and also in light of Senator Dennis's comments about creating or tailoring investment packages, I've been working with CETA for the past several months, actually since the beginning of this year, to also ask them, because we can't just give one package to different industries. And I saw the need that we need to tailor make investment packages to different industries, such as golf courses needs are, investors needs are different from hoteliers or mining. So I've asked them to create this package and include what we have in our statutes in terms of incentives, our QC qualifying certificate, our generous tax rebate systems, tariff-free between the Marianas, U.S. domiciliary, if their headquarters are in the CNMI. So I hope it will take time, because to tailor an investment package for a specific industry and what industries what incentives we offer requires that they work with statistics also. So it will take time, but I hope to have them complete that by the end of this year. I've even, I came back recently with Senator McGovern from Taiwan, where we met with government officials, and I proposed the idea of the mining up in Pagan. That's fresh money that has not, if we get an investor, money that has not been recirculated in the CNMI. We need an infusion of new cash into the CNMI. We can't just keep passing the same dollar around and expect it to gain interest or results. That much is clear to us. Hear your pleas, and we understand the needs of the CNMI. It's just trying to get over this economic slump that we're in right now that makes it very difficult for CNMI leaders to jumpstart any infusion of fresh cash or currency into the CNMI. But we hear your pleas, and we are trying our best to help everybody out. I just wanted to leave you with that message, that we have hope, and to continue to have hope, for the CNMI. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Rota. Recognize Senator Mendiola.
Thank you. I guess I just wanted to close out as well. Perfect. I think this discussion is just something that we all need to have, and I'm glad that really, even if it's just a budget hearing, it is important to identify the shortfalls across the board. In terms of making sure that look at all the footing that Senator Babauta has started, and something that we need to all tap into. It doesn't necessarily have to be just for a side plan, but I think tourism or even the economy is all of our business, and again, it's not necessarily a issue on whether you know how to do the work or not. It's more of a collaborative effort where we all come together and tackle this major issue, because our children are going to be affected if we don't fix this now, or we don't try and fix it now. I refuse to just sit back and just say, it's the status quo is, I'd rather just have these conversations, these difficult conversations, and initiate it and make sure that when we push forward, we can eventually come up with a solution. And again, commerce is the department, right? And let's come together around commerce and figure out how we can help commerce. And I get it, manpower is the issue, and maybe something that we will deliberate on. I'm not making any promises. Again, everybody needs FTEs and personnel, but I know that it's going to be heavily considered given the nature of this conversation that we had. So, Director, And Ayo, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys' candidness. I yield, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Mandela.
Thank you again, and my AO wants to say something.
One last plea. Don't get us wrong, we do have a great relationship with Acting Secretary Remy. I work with her closely. Though as far as budget and munis thingy, because she's just acting and we're just, new in that also, we're not really open yet, not that conversation. So don't get us wrong, we do have a great relationship with Secretary Remy, and please, we look forward to, and we ask for your confirmation. Your
The chair
support
is
to
here,
confirm
so
her.
she would note that.
Please.
But yeah, no, I understand. Ms. Mofnas has been in commerce, and so, like I said, it was just about a month ago where she was made aware of the fact that these revolving accounts could be used for operational activities, and so maybe this is something that you guys can work together with in trying to, get more information or just, see what they can do for us and vice versa. And so whatever support you need in trying to access those funds, please reach out to the committee and we'll try to assist with the Department of Finance in trying to get that out to you guys. And so again, if that can be confirmed, if that's something that will be made available to you guys, then we can possibly include your FD requests absent the funding, provided that you'll use your revolving accounts for those.
Thank you.
All right,
Trust
thank
me,
you.
nothing is impossible. It just needs to be spoken right and
Yes.
communicated
Yes.
in the most humble way. So therefore, we can continue to move forward and be prosperous in the future, especially for the future generation.
Thank you. And thank you both for coming in and for having to sit over 2 hours. And so we appreciate your presence and you are hereby excused.
Thank you.
Next is DPO.
We're sorry, Labor.
Did I say DPO? I mean DOL. Labor, thank you. Yes. No, we can close out. I know. Okay. Sorry, can we get the narrative, please? All right, we are closing out today's budget hearing with the Department of Labor. We appreciate your patience, R.D. Cabrera. And so with that, the Department of Labor submitted a budget request of $293,000, and that is to cover 8 FTEs. However, the governor's office maintained the current 5 FTEs at $195,000. The department also submitted a minimum request for operations at $23,700, and with $36,000 for utilities. However, that wasn't allocated under the budget submission. Yes, and so with that, at this time, I'd like to offer the floor to the RD for any remarks.
Hi, good afternoon to everybody. I'm Christine Cabrera, the Resident Department Head for Department of Labor. I thank you all for being here and welcome. I don't actually have a lot to open this or my hearing with, but you can just give me a moment.
Sorry, just to clarify, I know we just got these right now. These are just the different proposals for the different hours, correct?
Yes, that is correct. So you will receive 3, one at 80 hours, 72 hours and 64 hours.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
oh no, did I miss what you just mentioned? Sorry, before I asked that question, what did you say?
Oh, okay, I just wanted to give you guys the scope of the responsibility of Department of Labor. So, we administer both federal and state labor laws that guarantees workers' rights to a fair, safe, and healthy working condition, to include the minimum hourly wage, overtime pay, and the protection against employment discrimination. That in itself is a huge, huge responsibility. And guess how many people are doing it here in Rota? To include myself, there's just 5. So please keep that in mind as you go through my humble request to operate this department. I thank you. That's all I have to say at this time, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you, R.D. Cabrera. Sorry, I'm just looking at, it doesn't seem like there's any revolving fund accounts, but I think I do know that with the Department of Labor, there are some funds like through CW fees. Has your office been a recipient of any of those fees?
That is correct. The Department of Labor, CNMI Department of Labor does receive CW fees, and it trickles down to Rota in the form of fuel. Although we would like to be an independent department in terms of deciding or giving enough fuel for both vehicles that we have, we are unable to do so because we are pretty much at the mercy of whatever it is that the mayor can give us and whatever it is that the secretary can assist us with.
Okay, and do you know what the number is of CW workers here on Rota?
No, that's something that I requested for the secretary to find out. At this time, we do not know that information.
Do you have like a ballpark amount?
Hang on. I do want to give accurate numbers, but I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to get back to you guys with
Okay,
that.
that's fine, thank you. Who prepared this? Oh, sorry, I see, Angeline Cabrera, it seems like over the past couple of months, the unemployment rate has dropped. And I would think it's significant, I mean, from 92 to 50. Do you know what caused that?
The spike of the unemployment would have to be based off the austerity implementation of 70 hours that actually allowed a lot of our employees to qualify for NAP. So we do get a lot of our information from NAP. As for the filter part, how to filter employed individuals receiving NAP and total unemployed individuals, we're still working alongside with NAP to figure those things out.
Okay.
So that's a weakness on our end at this time.
Can you turn to the February 14th memo that you provided?
Okay.
Can you just help us understand what these numbers are? So for example, so you have 4 items. One is NAP, and I see that they listed this as 9. Is this saying that there are 9 employees that qualify under NAP? Or?
I'm sorry, Chairman, what?
The memo from your labor, your labor certification worker, the February 14th. It has like each month and it's like stats on the
Oh,
JV.
For what month?
No, just in general, what are these numbers? What does this tell us?
Okay, it's, for example, May. There's a number 13 there showing those are the number of NAP clients that came in to register with employment services. It doesn't necessarily mean that there are 13 people that applied for NAP. These are people who came into the Department of Labor as required by NAP so that they can register for employment.
So, okay. And then the JVA,
JVAs are the total amount of job vacancies that were open for that month.
okay.
Adjournment Network program is a temporary program that assists individuals who are able to work, for example, to mow somebody's lawn, or it's just a temporary employment that doesn't require employment contract. Unemployment are the total numbers of people to include the NAP clients that did not come in to register.
Would it be safe to assume that these JVAs, for the most part, are the ones that are required for businesses to announce before you're getting before applying for CW workers?
So, as required by Department of Labor, all businesses must come to our department to announce their job vacancies. Unfortunately, not all businesses do that. But for those that require contract workers, they are especially required to do that with our department so that we are able to better gauge the criteria that they set forth to U.S. qualified applicants, or if there's fairness and transparency that transpired over the process of hiring, to that effect. That's something that I hope to implement across the board, where all businesses must come in and announce with Department of Labor so that we are able to refer individuals who may qualify for those positions.
So not all businesses go. The requirements are like to post it on like 3 sites, right, or something to that effect?
I'm sorry?
The requirements before applying for CW is to ensure that these postings are listed on 3 different, using 3 different methods or something, so that they're not required to go into labor, is that correct?
Actually, if you even have that idea of wanting to hire a CW, because you are already expecting that no one in Rota qualifies for that position, then the actual requirement is to announce with Department of Labor.
Through the Department of Labor.
Through the Department
And
of
so
Labor.
with that, do you keep track of these JVAs once it's closed, or after some time, follow back and see if these positions were filled by local workers or whether they've gone out?
That is correct. We do follow up, and also we do require an explanation as to why no locals were hired. So we have to ensure that our due diligence has been met in terms of our JVAs.
Okay, because I quickly added up, and I may have miscalculated somewhere, but roughly 146 JVAs within the past year. Would you happen to know of that amount, how many do you think were local hires versus CW hires?
That's a hard ask. because I don't exactly remember, but I can safely say that there was a lot of vacancy announcements that experience and knowledge and education-wise, not a lot of our locals have met. So I would say about 50%.
Is there a basic requirement under the qualifications required for positions for specific positions? Like, say, for example, a cashier, is there a basic requirements that must be met, or are these basically up to the employer as to what they would like for their company?
Well, there is a site called ONET. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. It does list the jobs, positions, and also the suggested requirements for those positions, as well as the salary. So a lot of our businesses can review that resource and pretty much set their baseline requirements based on ONET.
Well, my concern is that, like, for example, a position of a cashier, if a company I guess intent is to try to get a foreign worker maybe, and so they kind of make the requirements strict to where they know that probably a local hire may not qualify, provided that the contract worker it has a degree but would still work as a cashier. And do you maybe cross-check to see whether that they're making it unfavorable to the local hires?
We've actually experienced such concerns before. So what we do is we reach out to Saipan Department of Labor, and we speak to oh my gosh, the Employment Services, and through collaboration, we were able to determine certain matters that justify such action from businesses. But any type of concern, we do take it seriously, and we definitely follow through with our.
Before I pass it on to the members, we recently adopted the apprenticeship program. I think it's maybe in the House, but has that program been extended here?
Under HIA?
Yes.
Yes. So I love HIA so much. Shout out to Director Kai Torres. She is so across the board fair and transparent to all three islands. She has been in and out of Rota. She's been pitching out all the programs that WIA has. It's just a matter of participants, both the employer side and potential employees. So we have yet to hear anything about apprenticeship here in Rota. I'm assuming that because the Rota Chamber of Commerce is now structuring their organization, perhaps that's something that they can look into maybe before the end of this year. We do a lot of outreach. As a matter of fact, Director Kai Torres, she has recently hired a resource coordinator for WIA. Therefore, the services are on site, and businesses, if they have any questions, they can come in at any time. We have Mr. Peter Maritita available for or to assist them.
Okay. Thank you. And so right now we don't have any apprentices or even interested businesses that would participate in this program.
Not at this time. We have tried to engage businesses in actually joining or participating in the youth exploration, career exploration that is now happening on all three islands. I did not get any feedback from any of them, which is unfortunate because I do hope WIA is really an asset to their businesses. It's an asset in the form of training their potential employees to work the way they want them to work. And I'm gonna keep at it, I promise you guys, I'm not giving up. So that's what we're doing at this time.
Okay. And do you have any active cases, labor cases?
I'm happy to inform you guys that we have no cases at this time.
Have we had one recently, or when was the last time we had a case?
We have had one this year, but it's been mediated at the lowest level, so that's always a good thing.
Okay, so we haven't had the need for a hearing officer.
At this time, no.
Thank you. I recognize Senator Mendola.
Thank you, Chair. A few questions. Just wanted for clarification. So I'm looking at the report, and the one thing that caught my eyes is the unemployment. January, and again, you can just refer to that specific statistics. I just wanted for clarification. So we went from 79 January in March, and I'm assuming based on this report, it's January 2023 to January 2024.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
So on March, it's showing from 79 to 108. So that's showing a plus 29. Is that an increase of unemployment, or is that the number of?
That shows an increase. If I'm not mistaken, that would be around the time when the additional 2 hours was implemented to the austerity measures.
Okay, and the reason why I'm asking is because as we go in the timeline, I'm noticing that we're reducing unemployment, and I just wanted to kind of ask what attributes to that decrease. Is it exodus from the island? Just wanted to ask that question.
I do know for sure that that is one of the factors. A lot of our people find that opportunities or pastures are greener elsewhere. But yes, that will be one of the factors that's affecting the unemployment, and there's a possibility that some of our community members opt to go off island for education, or they've actually found a job.
Okay, and if we look at the numbers, all the way back to January 2024, we're down to 50 unemployment. From November of 2023 to January, we're minus 36 pretty much, or yeah, 39. So, and I just wanted to point to this because I'm not sure if that's a good thing, meaning I'm not sure if unemployment, people are getting employed or people are leaving. So I just wanted to point that out. It's a major concern.
So there are quite a few entities that can assist with answering that question. Of course, NAP will be one, and OPM. I'm not too sure at this time how many government jobs have been opened and how many people were hired. So those two entities might help me answering that question. But yes, you're right. That is one of the biggest factors. People are moving. And that's one thing we want to
Prevent.
Yes.
Agreed. Thank you for that. So another question is on WIA. I know that a few of the agencies are actually looking at new FTEs. So I wanted to ask if that's an avenue that we can approach. Is it something that where you can help some of these agencies get their personnel, or get personnel in, get them trained up, and hopefully when the economy gets better, we can actually hire them to become permanent. Otherwise, at least it's an employment opportunity. So something that I did during the fire service, and I know that it's one of the biggest stress when you get these WIA, because there's an agreement that you must try and employ them as permanent. But again, to try and curb the unemployment, to try and help our community, is that something that you can work with other agencies to create specialists or subject matter expert or train individuals, so that in the future, when there is an opening, they become a priority, something that we can have an agreement with whoever the agency is.
Okay, so any potential employer can, they're able to avail to the programs that we have or has. The only thing is, as you mentioned there, with that contract, you're gonna have to assure the WIA program that you have the funding to hire that trainee within 6 months to a year. If you're sure, and that's the amount of time that you need to make sure that those funds are there, then I highly encourage all businesses, all government entities to please come over to Department of Labor and pay Mr. Maravita a visit. And also, I am humbly asking each and every one of you guys to grant all the FTE requests that my wonderful colleagues are requesting for, so that we can help each other out.
So on the same notion, I'm not sure, and again, this is just an inquiry, if we can write to the federal partner and figure out if we can utilize this funding to try and help our community get employed, or if it's a no-go, like absolutely not. Because again, the reason why I'm mentioning this is we all know there is no absolute guaranteed FTE in the next 6 months or year for that matter. As a matter of fact, we're looking at reducing hours, but I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way we can try and craft this and try and avail to that funding, and see how we can create a pool of experts or train individuals to where should an opening come up, there's individuals that actually are trained that we can just get them in, and the training them is not, it's the least of the department or the private sector's concern. So just something that I wanted to address, and maybe we can talk to Saipan for that.
Thank you, Senator. I will definitely bring that up with Director Kai. And that's a great idea to have a ready pool of qualified candidates. Yep. So that's an awesome idea. Thank you.
Thank you. And last question is, first of all, I appreciate that you have this, you have your budget submission broken down into 3 different, you got 70 or 64, 70, and 80. We're going from best to
wishful thinking.
Yeah, wishful thinking, and I appreciate that. So let me just ask real quick, if 64 or 70 hours is workable for your agency?
Well, during the time that the 70 hours was implemented, we had PUA. We were housing PUA. So it was my experience as the PUA coordinator that opened everything up here in Rota. It's kind of scary to leave your PUA coordinator alone with angry individuals. So there was a lot of adjustments that we had to make, revision of schedules. And it was difficult, most especially to my employees who, unfortunately, I think everybody is going through this, living payday to payday. So number one, that's the biggest factor that I have, caring about our biggest asset, which are our employees, the personnel that keeps the CNMI government running. These are the people that are actually suffering from all this austerity implementations, regulations, all of this. Even I have had my salary cut to include the 10 hours, and it's not fun, I tell you. When it's time to gas that car and you look at your bank account and there's only $13, you have to weigh which is more important, buying water for your staff or gassing your car. So those are the challenges that everybody has to go through. But enough of me. No, I don't like that 87.5% austerity cut, most especially because we can't work at 100% with that, with those hours.
Okay, thank you. Again, just to close this out, thank you for that. I see that you're trying your best to try and help us mitigate the challenges by trying to submit something where you're doing the cuts yourself already to try and make sure that every other agency is considered. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair, I yield.
Thank you. Sorry, just one clarification. Mr. Bertita is under Saipan's account. I don't see him on your list.
Yes, Chair. As much as I would love to absorb him into Department of Labor here in Rota, it's not feasible.
Is it a federally funded position?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Recognize Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you again, Director, for being here to answer some of our questions. I just have some clarifying questions with regards to the unemployment. And so just to be clear, the statistics or the data that we have in front of us on the memo dated February 14, 2024 is specifically for Rota, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and then, so I do see that, it started out, for unemployment, it started out at 79, and then in March, it increased by 29, going up to 108. And I believe you had said earlier that it had to do with the austerity, so the reduction in hours?
I'm assuming that will be the cost because the additional 2 hours actually qualified a whole bunch of people, especially if they are, say, receiving 15,000 per annum but working in the government. So,
So it's an assumption and not a,
that's correct.
okay.
It's an assumption.
Okay, and when I guess just to be clear on the definition of unemployment, because it sounds to me like if the assumption was because of the reduction in hours by 2, right? That the number of unemployment increased from 79 to 108. But is the definition of unemployment on here like 100% unemployed or partial unemployment? I mean, what is the definition there to be able to categorize them into unemployment? Because in my personal belief, unemployed means you're unemployed, right?
Yes, that's
But
correct.
from what I'm hearing from you, it's sounding like this could be partial
So-
unemployment or?
As you say, the true definition of unemployment is you are not employed.
Right.
So, however, especially, I'm sorry, I forget what's the term, but it's sort of like census of employment.
Okay.
There are defining factors that identify you as a true unemployed individual. A true unemployed individual is someone who's going out looking for jobs,
Looking for a job, okay.
but is unable to be hired.
Yes.
So there are unemployed individuals who are students and are unable to work. There are unemployed individuals who are retirees and are not working. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to need the assistance of both NAP and different government agencies have to step in so we can filter these information and we can provide a true and accurate data.
Sure. And this is why I'm asking that question, because it's so important that we truly understand what these data is trying to tell us and how can we use this data to make important decisions. So, maybe it can be misleading when you see unemployment at this number, but it's not necessarily fulfilling the requirements of what a true unemployment is. So maybe it's probably a little bit skewed, maybe,
Yes.
the data, right? And so we just want to make sure that, not just for us, but for the people who are also listening in, that it's clear as to what, the definition of unemployment as it relates to this memo, so that whoever is listening, knows that it's not truly unemployment data, as it would be referred to on like statistics data or, some kind of an economic report.
So just to, I'm sorry, yes, let me backtrack and clarify. The numbers that you see here listed under unemployment, these are the individuals that come in to register with the Department of Labor as unemployed and looking for jobs. Most especially if you're a NAP recipient, you are required by NAP. So,
I mean, because you could be a NAP recipient and still be working, right? You're just not meeting, you're still within that threshold. So
Yes.
it's not necessarily that you're unemployed, it's because you're still within the threshold. And so this is why, for me, it's so important that we truly understand, is it truly unemployment? And because you had mentioned earlier that, part of the assumption of the increase could be, because of
the additional 2 hours.
yes. So we just want to make sure that the data in front of us is not necessarily what one would interpret it to be if you look at the word unemployment, but there's definitely a narrative behind it and a context to explain away what those numbers are. So
Yeah, it was just kind of difficult confidentiality wise, it's kind of hard for us to question the clients that come in and say, hey,
yeah, no, I totally
you're
get
working,
it.
but how do you qualify for NAP? Those kind of questions or line of questioning.
Sorry,
I'm a bit iffy about it. That's why I just made that assumption that it could be the austerity, the implementation.
I'm an accountant by nature, so forgive me if I try to drill it down and truly understand what the numbers behind it mean, because it truly does make a difference in understanding what the data is saying. So
the normal trend that we go through is usually after graduation. High school graduations, we see not a spike, but we do see a slight increase in unemployment numbers because these children or these young adults would actually have to go into NAP and apply for themselves because they are 18. So that adds to the total. So it's just pretty hard at this time, but give us time, we'll work on it.
I'm just trying to understand and get the clarification. So thank you for that
Thank you.
clarification. And just one last question. What would you say your top 5 priority expenditures that are critical and essential to you,
Top 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Only 5.
So number 1 will be FTEs. I aim to staff all divisions with at least 1 FTE per division. So currently I have 3, and I'm gonna need a labor law enforcement trainee. I'm gonna need an administrative assistant and labor certification worker. So it's just hard. If you guys take a look at the budget package that I submitted and take a look at how many years each of my staff has been employed, you will notice that they've been within the department for more than 20 years. So I'm looking to get more staff because it's very hard. I've actually experienced watching the department by myself because all my personnel were either out sick or they had sick family members to attend to. As much as I want to say I know everything about Department of Labor, I can't run it by myself. And it was so hard having people come in to ask me questions and I don't know how to answer them. I just say, please forgive me, or my staff are sick. Can we get back to you as soon as we can? So please, I'm begging each and every one of you guys to help us. And hopefully Wia can help me with that too.
Okay, so you need FTEs.
I do.
Obviously.
Of course, operation funds.
So what specific operational expenses do you absolutely need?
Okay, so I need operational supplies. I requested for $3,500 of that. I need communications. Definitely repair and maintenance. We have 2 vehicles. One of them is currently down. It's inoperable, good condition, just needs a little bit of loving care. And definitely fuel and lubrication.
And then your annual, what was your 2023?
It's an estimate, where we're located, we share meters with different departments.
Okay. So
So
are you
that's an
guys on
estimate.
the postpaid or prepaid?
Postpaid.
Postpaid, okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I have, Jess. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you in Commerce 1 meter or separate meter?
I believe the entire, is answering for me, so I do know that Department of Labor is with DLNR.
Okay. So if you're asking for 36, DNR shouldn't be asking for,
No, they should ask for 36
but it's
too.
under 1 meter though?
Yeah,
So 72,000 for,
per year, that's a yearly
Yeah,
amount.
okay. No, but the 36 that you're proposing is, well, it's kind of hard to tell between you and.
So I got that estimate from experts. They gave me that number and I went with it because I do not want to short the municipality with, my usage.
Okay. But 1 meter for both departments.
Yes, that's what I was told.
All right, thank you. Going back to the report, first of all, I have to commend you and your staff for putting this together because year after year, we always ask what's the employment rate, but we finally see something, whether it's skewed or not. I think maybe something that could be done by Department of Labor while you take your own data, maybe cross-check that with Medicaid or NAP to see what the true unemployment rate is.
Yes.
Because the concern that I have is, while for the most part, some of the months, the unemployment rate stayed the same. But when you have, like, for example, September of 2023, where you had 25 JVAs, you would assume that the unemployment rate might go down by, a few positions that were filled by the local workforce. But if that number remained the same, it's like maybe, none of that was filled by the local workforce.
So I'm sorry, Chairman, we've had cases before where businesses would announce vacancies. But once they are cleared to hire or approved, in other words, they would rescind those vacancies. They would recall the vacancies. So, those are the little things, maybe businesses decided that they're unable to fund those vacancies and decided not to open them after all. So I see where you guys are getting at, and I do feel that kind of data needs to be specified when submitting the budget. So we will do that next time.
Okay. Thank you.
And just make sure that the data makes sense. So like if the unemployment is going up, then so will the job vacancy announcement, right? Because it went down from 97 to 50, 53. And we just, I'm just curious what drove that number down. And it, like you said, it could have been a number of people leaving the islands, but these are the kind of information that would be very useful for us to know. So, okay, thank you.
Noted, thank you. We'll try and keep better records of, or involve other agencies in determining true data.
Thank you. Anything else from the members? All right, thank you very much for your time here today and for the information that you provided the committee. As you know, as I stated earlier today, we wanted to see how well the allocation of a lump sum to the mayor's office is effective for all agencies. But as we are going through the hearings, I don't know, maybe it sounds like we should allocate or divvy up the allocation, but then provided that the division or the departments will be responsible to live within their means as opposed to relying on the mayor to cover for other areas. Because I mean, if your office is using X amount in utilities, maybe it's a wake-up call, for example, your department to cut down on areas within your department and not, rely too heavily on the mayor, and to spread the responsibility amongst all cabinet members. And so that's something that the committee will consider. And so in regards to your additional requests, I do not have the Secretary of Labor listed in our meetings in the coming weeks, but if that's something that the committee feels that we should bring in to see how we can better assist your office, we'll certainly give her a call or schedule a meeting with her. But aside from that, again, thank you for your patience today. And if there's anything else that we missed today or you felt like you've missed, please feel free to reach out to any of the members of the committee.
Thank you very much for your time and your collaboration. We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, members, with that, we now move down to announcements. Any announcements from the members? If there's none, I just want to remind everyone that tomorrow's hearing will be with the remaining agencies. We have up first the Department of Land and Natural Resources, followed by DCCA, Public Works, Public Safety, and DFEMS. The third agency, Public Works, we may or may not squeeze that agency in the morning, but we just ask that you stand by. But that's for Public Safety and DFEMS. We can almost guarantee that will happen in the afternoon. And so just to save time and your presence here. Again, thank you, everyone. There's nothing else from the members. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
So
Motion was made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. This meeting is hereby adjourned at 5:20 p.m. Thank you, everyone.